Girls, it's Friday, so we made it through week 5. Congratulations. We're done with April. Today is May 1st, so we're getting closer to our end of distance learning. You guys have been doing so awesome so far. I feel like you guys have been a lot more comfortable with working on teams, getting your assignments submitted, so just make sure you continue to work really hard and that you are completing your assignments daily. So today's our assessment day. I'm going to work with you a little bit on this assessment to kind of guide you through how you can be successful. So let's get started. Remember, we always read that top part of information. It says Christina wrote a story about sharing a bedroom. So they're already telling us what she wrote about. This is our main topic, okay, or central idea, right? She wants you to read the paper and suggest any corrections that she should make. When you finish reading Christina's story, answer the questions that follow. So, look at the title. Bunk beds, all right? This relates to the topic because beds belong in a what? Bedroom. They're sharing a bedroom, so does it make sense that maybe they would be sleeping on bunk beds? So we're already making connections to the topic, okay? Let's continue on. Number your paragraphs. There should be 7 of them, okay? And as you're working, you always want to make notes of the intro and the conclusion. Why? These two parts have to directly connect to the topic. They should also relate to each other, so they should be similar, not exactly the same, but they should be similar in that they are mentioning the topic and they are connecting back to each other. So your introduction always introduces what the story is going to be about. So let's read this and see how it introduces our topic. Emily entered the new house that her parents had just bought. She reluctantly looked around. She walked through the small house and counted the bedrooms. She said, "Mom, there are only 3 bedrooms in this house." So here it's introducing the topic with a quote, with an exciting situation, right? They're describing something that's happening. And how does it relate? Well, this part right here, I can infer only 3 bedrooms, small house. Could that be why they are sharing a bedroom? Does that make a connection? Right? So moved to new house is what this first part is about. And she's really being specific on small house. She's counting the bedrooms. There's only 3. So that means that probably this is why she's going to be having to share a bedroom, right? So as you're reading through, you want to see the progression of the topic. How is she sharing a bedroom? What happens because she's sharing a bedroom? Does she have certain feelings about sharing a bedroom? Who is she sharing a bedroom with, right? So as you're reading, you continue to write your hashtags. For each paragraph, and really think about how are they connecting back to your topic? How are they continuing to explain and expand the introduction and what they were talking about? And how the conclusion connects. So let's read the conclusion. Madeline cautiously entered her new room. Emily said, "Hey, little sister, you take the bottom bunk. You'll like it because you won't have to worry about falling out of bed at night." Emily felt mature. Madeline felt relieved. So maybe they're coming to some kind of agreement, right? Maybe, yes, they had to share a bedroom, but it wasn't such a bad thing after all. You find out by reading the rest of the story. But make sure you read it. Make sure you have your hashtags filled in. Make sure you're making those connections, that they connect through the whole story. So I'm going to say this conclusion, they came to an agreement about sharing. Does it connect back to the intro? Yes, because in the intro, she's already introducing us, hey, this is a small house, there's only 3 bedrooms, more than likely something's going to happen, and if we look back at the topic, probably they're going to be sharing a bedroom because that's what she wrote about. So she's going to explain that, and in the end she probably realizes, hey, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So when you're reading through a story, you want to really get into the character, think about what's going on, what are the feelings, how is she describing it, and how is everything connecting and flowing through. That's what good writers and readers do, okay? So let's go to the questions. On number 1, what is the correct way to write sentence 1? So here we're really looking at sentences, and we've been working a lot on sentences this week. We talked about fragments, we talked about compound sentences, we talked about complex sentences, we talked about simple sentences, and we've been learning that throughout the year. So let's look at sentence 1. Emily entered the new house that her parents had just bought. She reluctantly looked around. So I want to label this because I'm noticing I have a subject here, Emily. I know that she entered the new house that her parents had just bought. I'm seeing a comma here. That's going to be important to me, okay? Then I see a new subject, she. Yes, it's still talking about Emily, but they've used a new word, a pronoun, which is starting a new subject. Reluctantly looked around is another action. It's a different action than before. Here she's entering the house. Now she's looking around. So you have 2 subjects and 2 predicates. So that means you have 2 complete sentences. What is our saying? Complete on the left, complete on the right. You need 2 helpers to make it right. We're missing something here if we know about compound sentences, and we know this should be because I have 2 complete sentences. When you have 2 complete sentences combined, that's a compound sentence, but a compound sentence has to have those 2 helpers. So this is probably why we need to look for the correct way to write this. So as you're going through, continue to make note of how they're adding commas, how they're adding fanboys. We've already decided it's not written correctly because it's missing a fanboys here. So I'm going to make a note of that. That's my evidence. How do I know it's missing a fanboys? Because we learned that when we have 2 complete sentences, look at your notes from Monday, right? When we have 2 complete sentences, we have to have that comma and the fanboys. Okay, so that's already process of elimination. Look at this one. Look what's happening here to the next sentence. Didn't we have a she there? They removed it and they made the reluctantly capital. So now it says reluctantly looked around. But is reluctantly a subject? No, that's an adjective. That's describing how she looked, how she did it. So we're still working with the predicate. That makes an incomplete sentence. Can I have a period, capital, and then a period with an incomplete sentence? Can it stand alone? No. This is why we learned about fragments this week. Fragments cannot stand alone. It's missing something. We need to add to it. Probably we should add the she back here. So now it can have that subject and it can go back to being a complete sentence. But since it's missing it, it's out. So go through B, go through C, think about what we need, what are the parts of the sentence, check those subjects and predicates, check if they're complete or incomplete. Continuing on. The rest are all change questions. You guys always do so well on these. So for each, we're going to check cups, right? We're going to go through. Since and since. Those are two different words. They are both words. This is a transition. Do you know what this means? You should think about it. I had 50 cents. It's money, right? So as you're working with this is going to be usage. How are we using these words? So remembering our cups, we're checking our capitalization. We're checking our usage. We're checking our punctuation. And we're checking our spelling. What's really cool having access to the internet is for spelling we could always check dictionary.com. So even if you weren't sure if these were correct or you didn't know if they were actual words, look them up in the dictionary. Okay? This one's adding some punctuation here. We need to find out why. Well, when we add apostrophe S, what does that mean? Ownership. That means Maddie owns something. When I just add an S or IES to the end, or ES, what does that mean? It means it's plural, right? And plural means more than one. Okay, so this means Maddie owns something. This means there's more than one Maddie. You guys think about it. Now here we have a pronoun. This is usage. They are both pronouns, but they are used very differently. Okay? So when you go back to the sentence, you need to be plugging in. You need to be making those changes. So on sentence 5, I'll say, I'm going to take that out and put since, like having to do with money, since Maddie's a baby. Does this have anything to do with money? Nope. Now I change, or they want me to make this plural. Take out the apostrophe, just make it more than one. Since, Maddie's a baby. Do you think we're talking about more than one Maddie? Or Maddie is. So we just found out something, and that's why it's really great to go back to the story. Sometimes apostrophe S could be an ownership. Sometimes it could be used as a contraction word. Like if we're trying to say Maddie is. Maddie is. And we learned about contractions like, for example, it's would mean it is. So there's that word there, right? So let's see. Since Maddie is a baby, that sounds good. I don't think there's more than one Maddie, right? And you'll find out by reading the story. Then you go to her and hers. She will need hers own room. What do you think about that? She will need hers own room. Or she will need her own room. Right? Hers is used differently. Hers could be like if I'm just saying the room was hers, then that would make sense. But since they're not ending with that and they're adding some more description here, it would be her own room. So you're looking at the usage, you're going back to the sentence. How are they using the word, reading through it, understanding what they're trying to say, and making your decision, right? We're not going to change it to hers. That's nonsense. So in this one, we had no change. That's the process you should be going through. Taking your time, reading it, looking at meanings, looking at what these words mean and how they are used in the sentence. Let's continue on. Again here, Maddie's. Okay, let's see if they're doing it as ownership or is, or Maddie is. Let's go to 7. Baby Maddie's old sisters. Okay, here they are using it as ownership, right? Because they're saying the sisters belong to her. They're not saying Maddie is old sisters. It wouldn't make sense. So you always want to see if it is a contraction, if they are using it with two words combined, break up those two words like Maddie is. Try it in the sentence. If it doesn't work out, then that's not the option, right? Remember, this is plural. So you're going back. Old and older are both words. So we're checking how are they using them in the sentence. Were and was are both linking verbs. So we're checking how they use them. Make sure you're going back, you plug them in, you reread, you check what they're trying to say. What is this sentence telling us, right? Continuing on, we learned about these homophones. Remember, if we make this into a person, right? It's showing ownership, or someone owns something or something owns something. There, we make that R into an arrow. It's giving a direction or an instruction, right? Or telling us something, but it's not showing ownership. So two very different, right? This one, they're changing capitalization. Do we need to capitalize father? Is it a name? Do we know the name? So you have to go back to the sentence and check that. Remember that trick I taught you? If you can't substitute your father's name in there or a dad's name, any dad's name, then you shouldn't capitalize it. Okay, so go back and check that. Deleting the comma. Delete means to remove, so they're removing some type of punctuation should you do that. So you need to go back and label that sentence on 11. So when I go back, I'm looking at how are they using this comma. Well, I'm noticing quotes here. Do we need a comma with quotes? Think about it. Okay. Continuing on. They're changing the spelling here, but also the usage because they are both words, but they mean different things. Same thing with these homophones. We learned about these, and I'll be posting an anchor chart for you. Okay. Here they're adding some punctuation. And then when you go back, you're going to check all of these things. So it's a process of going back and forth. It's a process of rereading. It's a process of what are they asking me to change here, and should I do these things? Continuing on. Find out what these words mean. Check the spelling. Check how they are used. Okay? Out and outside. Both of those are words. How are they using them in the sentence? She and her, we learned about those subject and object pronouns, right? How are they using those? Continuing on. Herself to itself. Okay, this is talking about a girl. This is talking about a thing. So think about how they're using that. Would and would. What do these words mean? Are they spelled correctly? So check the usage and the spelling. Here we go again with that apostrophe S. So you're going to find out, is it ownership? Is it Emily is? Or is it plural? You're checking that usage. You guys do really awesome on cups. Just use your resources. I'm going to be posting anchor charts, so use those. Okay? Go to dictionary.com. Check spelling. Check what words mean. Okay? Be resourceful. Go back to the story. Make sure you have read it. Make sure you're using context clues. Make sure you're plugging in. Make sure you're rereading. All of these are super important strategies for you to be successful today. All right, boys and girls, if you need to pause, you should be pausing. Pause after the intro. Write all your hashtags. Get to that introduction. Okay? Go back if you need to pause to reread. Pause the video. Or if you need to go back to copy some of my notes, make sure you are going back and pausing that video. Okay? Have an awesome day on your assessment. You're going to do awesome. I know you can do your best. So good luck, boys and girls, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.